Hey travel and tech fans, and welcome back to another travel tech talk. If this is your first time here, then welcome to the channel. This channel is dedicated to sharing with you all manner of travel tech, from cameras to gimbals to microphone and audio and all the accessories that go with that, to help you elevate your travel videos to the next level. And if you're back again, then welcome back to the channel. We hope you're enjoying the content. And in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the big announcement, the long-awaited announcement that Canon has made with regards to the Canon M50 Mark II. And as you know, over many months now, there's been a whole raft of rumours that have been circulating in the press and on various rumour sites, speculating as to what the specification of the new Canon M50 Mark II might look like. And up until a couple of weeks ago, the rumours were fairly scant. There was no real definite information relative to the specifications itself. There were no major leaks that had come out that had really illustrated what the specifications might be. So about a week or so ago, and indeed on this channel, and I'll leave a link here in the top right hand corner, there was some more concrete information that seemed to be coming out of Canon rumours, which was a CR2 piece of information, which was and has been very reliable in recent years over tech releases and announcements, that there was quite a high specification that was going to be likely for the M50 Mark II. And so it's the 15th of October here today, and Canon has indeed made its announcement relative to the Mark II, the successor to the very popular M50 Mark I, a camera that has had the engagement of videographers and travel vloggers and photographers around the world, and indeed represents probably the highest revenue stream for Canon in terms of its mirrorless, light, small mirrorless cameras. And what we saw was a really impressive list of items that was being suggested that would come on the M50 Mark II. Firstly, there was going to be a 32.5 megapixel CMOS sensor. There was also going to be 4K at 60 frames per second with no crop. We were anticipating a new Digic X processor, replacing the Digic 8 processor that's currently in the M50 Mark I. There was going to be no IBIS, but ultimately there was going to be 14 frames per second in burst mode. There was also going to be dual pixel autofocus 2, and that was going to be available in not only 1080p and 720p, but also in 4K mode. There was going to be a single card slot and an electronic viewfinder in line with the R6. So it was quite an impressive list of items that were being mooted, and I'm sure that made the current owners of the M50 and prospective new owners of an M50 model really lick their lips in terms of anticipating some of these urgently needed upgrades from the original M50, and some of those major things that really let down the original M50 in terms of its capability. Yes, there had been lots of speculation, and people were looking for things like dual card slots and IBIS and probably a bigger battery, maybe some other items that quite realistically weren't right for the price point and the size of the body, and ultimately where the M50 actually sits in Canon's camera lineup. And so with the announcement of the M50 Mark II, I was eager to find out what ultimately was going to be on through the official launch of the camera. And I have to say, there is a massive disappointment, certainly in this studio, but no doubt in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of places around the world, with customers anticipating a whole bunch of new functionalities to come with the Canon M50 Mark II. So Canon has actually made its announcement today, and the news is not good, I'm afraid, as far as what we anticipated coming down the track with the M50 Mark II. And in fact, the entire list of items that we showed you in the last video actually are not coming with the Canon M50 Mark II. The reality is it's going to stay with a 24 megapixel CMOS sensor. We're going to continue with 4K with a crop, and ultimately the contrast detection system and not dual pixel autofocus. There's going to continue to be a single card slot, and that's because there are no hardware changes on the camera itself. The only difference really is a Mark II badge on the back of the camera. So it's the same body, it's the same hardware inside, the same Digic 8 processor. And of course, if there are none of these upgrades that were anticipated, then of course there's no need to change the size or the processor inside the camera itself. So huge disappointment that Canon doesn't seem to have listened to the feedback that it's received over the last 2 years. The camera in essence appears to be a firmware upgrade with a few tweaks in terms of eye detection and providing some portrait videography and photography, a clean HDMI out, which ultimately has to go through the free software that Canon released a month or so ago anyway. So it's exactly the same. So we're not going to get any of the bells and whistles that we thought. I don't think Canon has listened to the feedback that it's been given from its users. If you're a Canon M50 user right now, as I am, and of course I'm filming this on the M50 right now, and fairly ironically, if the picture has changed any, it's because halfway through the video I had to get up and change the battery. So there's a story in itself, isn't it? So if you're an M50 user anticipating quite a good opportunity maybe to upgrade to the Mark II, well, I don't think the M50 users are going to upgrade to the Mark II. I just don't think the changes are significant enough to warrant them buying another camera at about $700 or 700 British pounds for that matter. So a real disappointment. I think Canon has had 2 years to listen to the volumes of feedback that came out as a result of the M50, particularly in relation to slow motion, clean HDMI out, and the 4K cropping and the lack of dual pixel autofocus. But it doesn't appear that they've listened. It doesn't appear that Canon feel that they need to change the M50 significantly. But you ask yourself, well, why is there a Mark II? Why could this not have been changed with a simple firmware upgrade? Why is it that Canon have gone into press to say we're launching a Mark II version of our M50 when in fact it's only a firmware upgrade? And so if you're getting value from this video, then please consider liking and subscribing, and let me know what you think of the narrative and the content of this video. And consider liking and subscribing. You can do so in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Thanks in advance. So there you go, folks. Huge disappointment where I am, I'm sure where you are too. If you're a camera user that is looking to buy a great small footprint mirrorless camera, then is the M50 Mark II or the M1 for that matter a good camera to go for? Absolutely yes. It's got some fantastic capability and some significant advantages over some of the competition. It's a great camera, and it is Canon's biggest selling mirrorless camera globally. So if you're looking for an M50 or an M50 Mark II, if you're looking to get into the mirrorless range of Canon cameras, then grab yourself an M50. But if you're an existing M50 user and you're looking to upgrade, would I upgrade? Hell no, I wouldn't upgrade, and I don't recommend that you do either. The reality is there are insufficient changes in the Mark II to warrant spending another £700 or bucks for the privilege of having a firmware upgrade, because in reality this camera is a firmware upgrade masquerading as a new camera, and it just isn't what Canon M50 users expected. So we hope that's been useful. Disappointing news, I'm sure. we're all disappointed in terms of what has actually happened, and we really feel that Canon has missed a trick in terms of what it could have done to get itself back up on top and the real leader in terms of mirrorless APS-C cameras moving forward. It's a missed opportunity as far as I'm concerned, and as an M50 user I won't be upgrading to the M50 Mark II. I think I'll save my cash and then invest in some lenses or some other camera that I think will meet my needs moving forward. So thanks everybody for listening, thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you again in the next travel tech video. Bye bye.